Ulcerative colitis is inflammation of the lower end of your digestive system, including your large bowel and rectum. It is a debilitating inflammatory bowel disease, IBD, affecting approximately 1 in 250 people in the UK. Common symptoms of ulcerative colitis includes rectal bleeding, frequent diarrhea, urgency, stomach aches, and needing to go to the toilet a lot. It is believed that urgency is probably in some ways the worst of those symptoms because it can result in incontinence, and that's a very disabling symptom. During a flare-up, some people with ulcerative colitis also experience symptoms elsewhere in their body. For example, some people develop painful and swollen joints, arthritis, mouth ulcers, areas of painful red and swollen skin, irritated and red eyes. In severe cases, defined as having to empty your bowel 6 or more times a day, additional symptoms may include shortness of breath, a fast or irregular heartbeat, a high temperature, fever, blood in your stool becoming more obvious. In most people, no significant trigger for flare-up is identified, although a gut infection can occasionally be the cause. Stress is also thought to be a potential factor. People may have had symptoms for a very long time, even years before getting a diagnosis. Depending on what age they are, people might think they've got bowel cancer, and in fact, the diagnosis of UC can almost come as a bit of a relief in some ways. Ulcerative colitis is usually treated with medicines that reduce the inflammation in your digestive system. Surgery may be needed in severe cases. At the moment, there is no cure for the disease. It can only be managed. Ulcerative colitis affects both men and women. It is most of the time called an invisible sickness, which sometimes has devastating effect on people's quality of life and can make them feel isolated. To understand this autoimmune disease and its effect and its severity, we took a trip to Loughborough to speak to Rachel, a lady suffering from the disease who happens to be a twin. Ironically, Rachel's twin sister Mimi doesn't have the same disease, despite sharing the same womb and DNA.
At the time, I didn't realize how much of a stressful lifestyle I was in, and I wasn't really managing my stress very well. So I now practice like yoga and mindfulness. I had found out that I had ulcerative colitis in, I want to say, 2015. I felt at the time I was experiencing so many things, and all the doctors were saying all the same thing, and I knew that what I was experiencing was not normal. So when I was told it wasn't what all the other doctors were saying, it made me feel like my voice was being heard when I was saying repeatedly to the same doctors, something's not right, these symptoms are getting worse, and I felt like I was being ignored. So I felt like I was being taken seriously, and I felt like almost like I wasn't going crazy. Like, I was right that, there was something more than just, a stomach bug or, an upset stomach. My diet, I try to not eat a lot of processed foods, as those can often have chemicals in them that make the symptoms worse.
The nutritional side effects that we may experience from having ulcerative colitis is decreased nutritional intake. We eat less altogether because we don't feel well, or we want to reduce the times that we go to the bathroom. One of the first few questions. The way that we use nutrition to address these consequences is, one, we want to apply small frequent meals throughout the day. We want to make sure that we get the calories and the protein that we need from our diet to nourish ourselves well through this disease process.
Ulcerative colitis is a hereditary disease. It is believed Rachel inherited it from her paternal grandmother. Skipping one generation and moving to the next generation, which unfortunately is Rachel's generation. According to a Stanford University research, when it comes to twins and family diseases, during embryotic development, the more the cells divide, the chances of mutation increases. In the case of Mimi and Rachel, Rachel may have a mutation that causes the disease to be active.
There are concerns that I have where, like, in regards to, like, what if it happens to her just, like, later on in life, because she'll, like, she would have been living a life for who knows how long, and then it just happens.
We took a little journey to Rachel's mom's house as she lives just by the corner. We wanted to get her views on how she feels having a daughter that suffers from this illness, despite them being a twin and the other not having this illness.
It came as quite a shock because we didn't know, we knew she was ill, but we didn't know what it was that she was ill with. And it took the doctors quite a while to come up with a diagnosis. It was 3 weeks before she was actually put in the hospital, but once she was in, it took them about 2 or 3 days, and then it was just trying to find out a medicine that would work for her. Right now she takes a lot of medicine and it wipes her out, and the thing is once she gets to about 9 o'clock at night, which is when she takes her medicine, once she's taken that, she's just about done for the day.
Aside speaking with Rachel and her family, we also interviewed a young lady suffering the same illness. Unfortunately, hers has developed into Crohn's disease.
As a child, I was pretty normal. I was into sports a lot. I was very active. And when I was in year 5, so I was 10 years old, I had a virus. So I had symptoms of throwing up, being unable to eat, being really nauseous. I didn't have any energy, and this was quite different for me because I was such an active child. And so for a period of a month, I was just very sick with digestion issues. And my mum didn't really know what it was. The doctors said it was colic, which is something that affects babies as well, where you have quite bad indigestion. But as time went on, I got a bit better, but then my bowels started changing, how often I used to use the toilet, and just my energy levels, and just I changed in personality almost. I was just very sick. And so I was using the toilet about 15 times a day. And I would eat and I would need to be on the toilet straight away, so it would just go straight through me. And then when I used the toilet, it was very bloody, there was a lot of mucus in my stool. And I kept complaining to my mum. I wasn't feeling very well. And I think she didn't realise how bad it was because, you know, as a kid, maybe your parents think you're exaggerating some stuff. And so it went on for about 4 or 6 months, and I completely lost weight. I was very, very skinny and almost malnourished because you lose all the nutrients and vitamins as well.
The roles of fiber is that it adds bulk to our stools and adds frequency to our stools. So if one is having ulcerative colitis and you're constantly going to the bathroom, then at those times it may help to adjust the fiber in the diet to see if that would help.
I had a colonoscopy where they looked inside of my colon, and when I was 10 they diagnosed me with ulcerative colitis.